Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies, whilst providing quality care, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions for hospitals and intensive care units to save money and resources, and where we provide win-win situations for all of our stakeholders and clients. So in last week's blog I talked about we want my mom at home and let her approach end of life at home. What should we do? You can check out last week's blog by clicking on the link below this video. In today's video blog I want to answer another question from one of our readers and clients, and today's question is: my dad is 67 and he's in ICU with a spinal cord injury, on a ventilator with tracheostomy and on dialysis. So the question today is: we want our dad to be out of ICU, but we don't want him in a nursing home because they can't look after a ventilator and tracheostomy. What should we do? So Alex writes the following email. Hi Patrick, my father was involved in a car accident. He suffered a C1 spinal cord injury. He was in kidney failure prior to the car accident and he has required dialysis 3 times a week. At the moment he is in ICU on a ventilator with the tracheostomy and he's requiring daily dialysis because of his kidney failure and his complex pre-medical history and his long stay in ICU with long periods of hypotension that hit the kidneys further. Now we've been in ICU for about 3 months and the ICU experience is horrible, and we want my father out of ICU as quickly as possible. Now at this point in time we are thinking of obviously the spinal rehabilitation facility, but it looks like it's difficult to get into a spinal rehabilitation facility. And we don't really want to send him to a nursing home because they can't look after a ventilator and the tracheostomy. So we have already told them that the option to go to a nursing home is not an option for my father. He's only 67. And obviously they don't seem to be very concerned and they just want us out of ICU. So given that he's a quadriplegic and he needs regular dialysis and he also has regular episodes of desaturations and his blood pressure keeps going down a lot, what are our options? At the moment I'm actively contacting rehabilitation centers that accept patients with ventilation and tracheostomy, but with the dialysis they're refusing to take him and they're basically suggesting that he's not ready for rehabilitation even though they haven't even assessed him. We are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. What should we do? From Alex. Hi Alex, thank you so much for writing in. This is a tricky situation. Obviously with a C1 spinal injury and quadriplegia, that's a very serious situation. I'm very sorry to hear that your father is in such a difficult situation, especially with the dialysis requirement as well. But I believe in your and your father's situation there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. You should be seeking some spinal rehabilitation for C1 spinal injuries and then get your father ready for intensive home care. So what does that mean and what are the steps? Your father needs to be prepared for home care. That means he might need his home modified. He will need a wheelchair. He will need devices that help him in the activities of daily living, and occupational therapy can help you with that. But in terms of the medical and nursing needs in particular, I do believe, like our service intensive care at home is actually the best alternative, because we can take care of mechanical ventilation, tracheostomy, and we can also take care of the dialysis. Now, I assume hopefully your dad might go back to dialysis 3 times a week in the future as well. But with the ongoing hypotension in ICU, you may not be able to get off the dialysis, or you may need the dialysis daily for quite some time to come. But your best option is intensive care at home, because then you will have intensive care nurses 24 hours a day and you can feel safe that qualified ICU nurses are looking after the ventilation, the tracheostomy and the dialysis side of things, and improve your dad's quality of life at home rather than being stuck in ICU or rehabilitation. I'm really not surprised that your dad hasn't got a good experience in ICU and that you're describing this as horrible. And you know, after I have worked in ICU for 20 years myself, I can certainly see why you feel that way, but the best way to go home is find a spinal rehab and then go home with our intensive care at home services. I hope that helps, Alex. We'll go from there. Let me know if you have any other questions. Take care for now. Now, if you have a loved one in intensive care, and if you want to go home with our service Intensive Care at Home, and if you want to find out how to get funding for our service and how it all works, please contact me on one of the numbers on the top of our website, or simply send me an email to patrick@intensivecareathome.com. That's Patrick, Patrik. Please also have a look at our case studies, because in our case studies we highlight more about what we can do for clients, how clients can live at home with ventilation and tracheostomy, and you can look at our case studies as well as our service section. And if you have a loved one at home already and you need support for your loved one at home, and you have insufficient support or insufficient funding, please contact us as well. We can help you with all of that. It is our area of expertise. And if you are an intensive care nurse or a pediatric intensive care nurse with a minimum of 2 years ICU or pediatric ICU experience, and you ideally have a critical care certificate, please contact us as well. Check out our career section on our website. We are currently hiring ICU and pediatric ICU nurses for clients in the Melbourne metropolitan area, in the northern suburbs, Sunbury, Mornington Peninsula, Frankston area, South Gippsland, as well as Wollongong in New South Wales. Also, we have been part of the Royal Melbourne Health Accelerator program in the past for innovative healthcare companies. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from Intensive Care at Home, and I'll see you again next week in another update.